it's your girl Cheryl Lynn, and you're watching Sweep the League on Alamo City Podcast Network.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League.
Welcome back to Sweep the League. It is Rudy Campos Jr. It is Thursday. We're almost at the end of the week, so you know what that means. It's party time. It's Friday tomorrow. Coach Gio is going to be joining us here in just a second. We got a lot to get into, primarily Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. Terrible. This is – we all kind of know what probably is going to happen. We'll get Coach Gio's take on that. Tim Gonzalez, hey man, welcome to the show again, brother. Thank you for the support. Game day, my Lady Blue Devils, Tar Heels still suck. Thank you, Tim. As if people don't already know that the Tar Heels still suck. Also, quarterback talk, man. There's a lot of rumors going out there. Russell Wilson possibly a Steeler. I mentioned yesterday, Kirk Cousins, Falcon. Where does that leave Justin Fields? Got a couple of places right there in mind. Also, any questions you guys have, anything you guys want to talk about, drop in the comments here. Thursdays are your days for Coach Gio and I. So let's go ahead and bring him into the show. It is the one, it is only the coach himself, Coach Gio, the Rambassador. What's up, man? How you doing, dude?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just been busy, so I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, hey, work keeps you busy. I totally understand that, man. I mean, work is work, dude. It's not as bad as me. I have we ended up getting a baby pug, last Friday, I believe, and
a pug.
Terrible.
Pugs are
terrible. Just that's one word, terrible.
Well, you know, their breathing is something that you have to look out for as they get older. But
I was a great big fat guy. My breathing was bad. I came out okay.
Well,
still
congratulations on the new kid, Rudy. Congratulations on the new one.
Yeah, because you can't really say much about it. It's a terrible decision. I don't know if I will ever get over having a pug in my house.
Was it your idea?
No. No.
My wife, Gina?
Yeah, my wife's a pug lover. She had a pug, for a long time. And she said, you know what? We need you to get a pug. I want another pug. She found a great deal. A friend of hers was, having a good deal on a pug. We got a baby pug. Rest is history. And so is my life. The rest is history, man. Pug life. I'm more into thug life, not pug life, Gio. I'm more into thug life more than anything. Book your flight for the Final Four next year, Gio.
Aren't you from the West Side, Rudy?
I am. That's why I prefer thug life.
West Side.
Not pug life. Not pug life. Awesome. SOT you had yesterday. Oh, yeah. System of a Down. Appreciate that, man. Favorite song. Ooh, golly, man. Oh, man. What are we talking for System of a Down? There's so many System of a Down songs, man. How about we go with album? I can't pick one song. I can never pick one System of a Down song.
Well, they have a lot of.
I mean, no, I don't even want to go
memorable songs. Already, I mean,
I'm a sucker for Lonely Day. I don't know why, but I'm Hypnotize. I think is my favorite album. Period. I love Hypnotize.
Is that the one with Holy Mountains? All right.
Yeah. I mean, I love Hypnotize, but I think Lonely Day is probably my all-time favorite. I think I just love Lonely Day.
Okay.
So
yeah, I had a few. I wasn't the biggest supporter, but I did have a few songs on my iPod. Everyone, not a iPhone, but an iPod Touch.
I mean, Chop Suey and Toxicity are probably 1 and 2 for most people. Most System of a Down, most System of a Down fans out there. So I really like Lonely Day. That's probably my favorite System of a Down song, but Hypnotize is probably number 1, I think, for me. What's kind of cool, dude, is people don't know, like System of a Down, as good as they were and are. I mean, I love. Let me bring it up here, man, because I know who it is. Sorry, man. I'm trying to get this real quick. I'm having a little bit of a break thing here. So no. So Darren Malakian basically, was with System of a Down. He started a band that I enjoy a lot, and it's called Scars on Broadway. If you guys are into not necessarily underground, they had one album that came out. Scars on Broadway is a good one. I really enjoyed that first album, which is the self-titled debut, Scars on Broadway. It's Darren from System of a Down that actually started that band. So give it a listen. And I think Tim was asking about we're doing a bracket type thing for March Madness. I think we can get the music going. I'll see if I can get something squared away with Joe to maybe do a music bracket type of thing.
Yeah, don't play any songs already. We're gonna get banned.
Yeah, we'll get copyright infringement, which we don't want to get copyrighted because that's just terrible.
Well, yeah, I mean, you only had little clips. It's like they probably have some sort of algorithm, right? Something that captures certain songs being played, and we're gonna have to make our own clips, Rudy. Our own soundbites.
The algorithm is screw Rudy Campos over. That is the algorithm. Anytime they say Rudy Campos, it starts flagging everything. I'm sure. I am definitely sure. Man, we're going to get into some talk, man. We got quarterback talk, Joe, because obviously you've seen the rumors. Russell Wilson to the Steelers. That's getting a lot of traction. Kirk Cousins to the Falcons. I was saying that yesterday. That's more than likely going to happen. Where does that leave Justin Fields? I got a landing spot for Justin Fields. We'll get into that later. But first, man, top news. It was announced this morning, and it went viral super duper fast. That is this dream bout, I guess, if you want to call it a dream bout. Iron Mike Tyson himself at the ripe age of 56, I believe, against one headliner, fake headliner, Jake Paul. What are you doing, bro? Well, this is terrible. This is a terrible freaking.
It's interesting because before I went to the gym, just looking at TikTok this morning, I kept seeing Mike Tyson popping up on my TikTok, Rudy. He's training. He's doing some crazy stuff. Like, okay, like, is Mike getting ready for a fight or something? Hold on, I go to Twitter, and there's all this Jake Paul and Mike Tyson stuff going on. Look, Rudy, there's going to be stuff in the contract. Mike is not going to be able to throw any haymakers. You know that.
I know that.
I think it's going to be a very vanilla fight with potentially Jake Paul winning. So I don't
potentially, Gio. He's gonna win because it's fixed. It's already rigged.
And that's what I'm looking at now. Mike Tyson could say screw it, Rudy, and he gives him the knock of his life. Look, Mike Tyson is just one of those guys, Rudy, and I'm sure you saw growing up. Mm-hmm. It's not a guy you want to mess with. No. It's not a guy you want to poke fun of, and he's definitely changed over the years, but you put him in a boxing ring. I don't. Okay, Rudy, I have a question for you real quick before you answer. How much would they have to pay you to get into the ring with Mike Tyson?
To get in the ring with Mike Tyson?
And to box. And you got to go 3 rounds.
And I can, okay, I'm not going to say some stupid amount like $1 billion. I mean, obviously not that's the case. But to get into a ring with Mike Tyson and to box, they would have to pay me, I would say, between 50 and 75 million. I think that would be my number, between 50 and 75 million.
Really?
I think so. I would go in for, I'm going to say 75 million. A nice, good number, 75 million.
Honestly, I'll get in there for 20 mil.
You would box Mike Tyson, straight up box for $20 million.
If you give me a whole year to train for 20 mil, Rudy, hey.
You can give me a decade to train, and I'm still going to be terrified as shit to get in the ring with Mike Tyson.
Well, no, I mean, let's be known, Rudy, I'm going to be shitting my pants here fighting Mike Tyson. But for 20 million, 20, 30 million?
75, man. 75.
Why not? I mean,
considering I'm probably never going to be able to spend that money because I won't be able to walk after that ever. But I get my head crushed in by Mike Tyson. 75 million is enough to, to at least buy me a smile to put on my face, and be fine with it. I mean, Chris Gonzalez is in here, man. He says, let Mike get paid. Well, yeah, Mike's going to get paid. That's the thing. Mike's going to get paid probably to lose this fight, Gio.
That's what I'm saying. There's really no case I could see Mike winning, or like I said, Rudy, unless Mike goes rogue. He says, "You know what? Freak this. I'm gonna knock this kid out." All right, like he goes rogue and he knocks him out because look, and granted, it was just one video I saw of Mike almost destroying his trainer, Rudy. By the way,
yes,
I don't know. He's just type of guy I don't want in the ring. Maybe Holyfield, right? Didn't Holyfield fight Roy Jones Jr., Rudy, right? Like a few years ago. So yeah, and they fought like an exhibition. If you want to fight Evander Holyfield, but I think Mike Tyson is just one of those guys. I don't know if something triggers him, Rudy, and he goes into a rage. But it sounds like it's just for a charity event. So
yeah, hey, it's not a charity event though. I mean, that's the thing. It's not a charity event. What were you gonna ask me?
No. I was just gonna say, like, so what? Why are they fighting then? If it's not for anything of significance,
it's just a payday for Mike and another.
And why does Jake keep fighting these
so let's run down
retired players?
Jake, his 9 fights where he's 9-1. I can't even remember the one he lost. It says he lost to Tommy Fury. So, okay, so he did lose one, but Nate Robinson, retired NBA basketball player.
Rudy, that was the meme heard across the world.
I know.
I remember that, and I felt so bad because it's like we're laughing at someone that probably could have maybe died or something, but it was just it was ridiculous.
Ben Askren, who is a professional mixed martial artist and former Olympic wrestler, again, no boxing experience whatsoever. Then he goes into Tyrone Woodley, again, mixed martial artist. I mean, UFC welterweight champion. Technically, no boxing in there. He fought him twice, beat him twice. Then he goes against Anderson Silva. Everybody knows who Anderson Silva is. Beat Anderson Silva, again, mainly a mixed martial artist. Now, Anderson Silva does have a boxing background, but again, it's an Anderson Silva where older guy. I mean, it's one of those like, well, it's not necessarily, true boxing there. I figured Anderson Silva was going to beat his ass, but he didn't. Nate Diaz, he also ended up fighting Tommy Fury, who was his loss. He did beat Jake Paul. Then he fought Nate Diaz. Again, mixed martial arts. He kept going after UFC guys, man. I mean, it makes no sense. Now you're getting in the ring with a true dog, a guy that is always been in the ring. And let's be real, man. This is Tyson's like temple. Any boxer, if you're challenging him to a boxing match and it's a legit boxing match and you don't have any experience like they do, you're asking to get murdered live on Netflix. I think Netflix is going to show it. I mean, you're asking to get murdered.
Yeah, I really hope there isn't any, like we talked about, right? It's probably going to be stuff like, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. But yeah, Mike, listen, I grew up in his time. I think my early remembrance of him was probably 5 or 6 years old, just seeing this crazy madman on TV. But yeah, Rudy, I hope we could see like a flashback though of Mike. Like you're like, dude, this guy, like you could see some of it, but it's just, I don't think Jake's corner is going to allow Mike to go ham, and start head busting.
It doesn't matter. They can't do shit. Once the bell starts, if Mike wants to go rogue.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, like, if he goes rogue and then he sues him, I don't know.
How can he sue him? I mean, let me put it this way.
It won't be a good look.
Well, no, you have a few people out there, Gio. There's a percentage of people out there that truly believe that Jake Paul's a boxer and that Jake Paul is for real and Jake Paul has a career and that these fights are really, really fights. They're real fights. They're not real fights. So for those people out there, if you allow Mike Tyson after the bell to just say, Mike, go out there and box. Jake Paul is probably unconscious in 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. I mean, there's guys that can't last in bed longer than that. I mean, it's going to be crazy how fast Tyson would take care of this kid.
Oh, wow. We went to definitely a route. Didn't expect Rudy to talk about lasting in bed for 2 minutes.
Hey, man, you just say all I need is 2 minutes, and that gives me 1 minute and 50 seconds of cuddle time. Mario Cavasso says, does Jake Paul have any kids they need to be on the lookout for? Mike will eat them. Yes, Mike will eat his kids. He's already said before. He's on record saying, I'll eat your heart, I'll eat your kids, praise Allah, all that rant. Everybody, that was the most famous rant of all time.
Wasn't Mike the one that also was going to pay someone to date his daughter? I don't know if you remember that meme that went around.
I remember that.
I don't know if that was true or not, but
how much would it take for you to date his daughter? If I remember correctly, there wasn't very much interest.
No, I don't think there was interest from anybody. So no, I'm bowing this one out. Maybe you've already.
Yeah, thanks, man. Don't leave that on me. Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Mario Cavazos is cooking. He sure is. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Jake just wants to add a name to his list, just like Mayweather added Oscar when Oscar was past his prime. Again, that's all it is, man. It's just another notch in the belt loop is what it is for Jake Paul, man. I really hope Mike decides to lay the smackdown. And if you know what, if they say, Mike, we're giving you, $50 million to just show up and, kind of half-heartedly do that, I think he should take, the money and just start wailing on him. Who cares? But
go
ahead.
Real quick, you talking about Oscar and Floyd. Mm-hmm. I thought Oscar won that match, but we could talk about that another day.
There's a lot of matches that everybody fought against Floyd that he should have lost.
Oscar threw more punches and just looked more aggressive, but I guess,
Floyd Mayweather, and I'm going to get so much shit for this, but Floyd Mayweather, he ducked a lot of people in fights. And you know what? He ran from a lot of guys in the ring. And he's a great technical boxer. I will not discredit some of his wins, but there's a lot of his wins, man, that are very flaky and very fishy. And
yeah, he did fight a lot of guys just kind of proceed a little bit later in their career. Mm-hmm. Like, didn't he fight Shane Mosley pretty late?
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's a lot of his. And look, I'm not. Listen, there were times where clearly Floyd was the better fighter. Pacquiao, that should have happened, Rudy, a decade before. I know there was rumors that Floyd Camp was saying Pacquiao was on the juice, whatever the case may be, or some sort of enhancements. I don't know, but
excuses. That's all.
Floyd should have fought Pacquiao several years. That match should have happened at least 6-7 years before, and it never did. And he did beat Canelo, Rudy. Wasn't that also when Canelo was older, though? I think.
Well, no, the Canelo part.
Yeah, that one was more. It seemed like he was still young. So, but yeah, Floyd, really, that man probably one of the best when it comes to picking opponents at the right time.
Mm-hmm. I know Floyd would. There's a lot of opponents Floyd should have fought in their prime, and he never did. So I don't really credit Floyd with a lot of shit, that people say about him. Another gimmick, in my opinion, on a lot of these fights, But with Jake Paul, man, I mean, I'm on record. I'm going to go on record, Gio, to say this. Mike's going to lose the fight because he's going to get paid to lose the fight. That's all it is. If y'all want to go out and watch it, I'm not going to waste my time watching this fight. I won't watch it at all because it's just a waste of time. That's all it is. And then your contract, man. You brought it up earlier. What if he gets sued for knocking out Jake Paul? I really don't give a shit. What are you going to sue him for? I mean, you're in a boxing ring. You signed up for a boxing match.
Well, I don't think it would actually help because
I'm saying,
people are going to think it's
staged. Because if you put in the contract, you cannot, do this. You cannot do this. And it's in the contract, and the judge is going to be like, well, what's a boxing match? Why all of a sudden are you filing a lawsuit because Tyson kicked your fucking ass? Well, hello, it's a boxing match. Oh, no, it's in the contract that says Mike was supposed to do this, 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 and this. I mean, are we serious? Then you're going to look at all boxing matches like that. And there's so much corruption in boxing. So every boxing match is going to be looked at differently. So again, I think if Mike is allowed to go in there, do Mike stuff, This is going to be a bad look for Jake Paul. If you want to, Gio, if you have any intentions of marrying, try to marry Jake Paul because he may not make it after this fight. You can get all his money. Well, I don't know how much he's worth, but
The Paul family is very interesting. You got Logan in WWE, Rudy, and he's pretty good at wrestling. I'm not sure if you've caught him, but he's not too bad. But yeah, no, this fight I'll probably watch the highlights or maybe I'll catch it on. If it's going to be on Netflix, I guess I should try to watch it, right, Rudy?
You want to borrow my account? Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. We're gonna get kicked off because Netflix is gonna be pissed off if I'm sharing my account. That's what I think about Netflix here. All the streaming services, I think about that for all you people out there that are talking about streaming. You can't share your stuff. I'll share my stuff with whoever.
Well, the problem with streaming services, there's a streaming service for everything now. You have Peacock, you have Stars, you have Showtime, though I don't know if it's been mixed in with so many other ones. You have it's not HBO Max, or I think it's just called Max.
It's Max.
There's so many. I've had to remove some just because I don't watch them. But they do remind me of the whole Planet Fitness. You pay $10 a month, Rudy, but you never go. It's like it keeps charging your account. You're like, dude, I should probably. But then you can't cancel a gym membership through your phone, Rudy. Of course, right? You got to go into the actual gym.
Yeah, you got to log in. You got to do this. You got to do that, and all that other BS. I get it, man. But that's the thing with streaming services. If it's like cable, if I'm going to another person's house to watch a game back in the day, are you pissed off because I'm using their cable? Or if I'm house sitting for Gio, you're pissed off because I'm at his house using his DirecTV? No, streaming services should be cool with that. Hey, my buddy wants to see the Spurs play. I'm going to let him use my streaming service because of why? I'm not going to be home so that you can use it. But they got to crack down on all this shit. I mean, fuck it. I'm the one paying for it. You're the one paying for it. You should be able to do whatever the hell you want with it. I mean, you're not selling it.
I think if you're in the same, if you're in the same area, I actually think it's fine. I think it's more of when you're in different states or like very, very far away with an actual state is where. But yeah, no, I agree. But hey, it's hurting their bottom dollar, they believe. So that's why they're going ahead and say, hey, no, we want more money from you. Plus, also Netflix. Sometimes really it takes forever to find something. I don't know what it is. There's so much stuff on there, and it takes me forever just to find a decent show. And then they renew shows that are sometimes crap, but then the good ones, they just end them.
Which ones did they not renew that you wanted to see?
Oh, there's one that's on top of the list. I forgot honestly the name. It was a cop show. So I'm big into true crime. So it was a really good true crime show, and they axed it after one season. Yet they're keeping these other weird shows on Netflix that nobody watches, and it's just, I don't know.
So you're into True Detective? I've never seen that, but
no, True Crime. No, True Detective. I think is I think that's another show on HBO. But no, just True Crime and murder mystery and all that stuff. So
murder mystery. Well, there's a big old mystery going on in the NFL right now, and that's the mystery of where in the hell are these quarterbacks going? I mean, all the rumors are going from Fields to Atlanta, that Russ gets cut, which we knew Russ was going to get waived. Then you have the whole Kirk now tied to Atlanta. I mean, so much going on. Bears saying F Fields, we're going Caleb. We got a lot of QB stuff to get into, Gio. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to get into some offseason quarterback talk and a couple of other offseason moves, and then we're going to dive into some of you guys' comments and questions. So if you got them, drop them in the chat. We'll come back to you in just a second. There's a quick message from Locked On Spurs.
Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at JeffGKens5SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at JeffGSpursZone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@LockedOnSpurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
That is Jeff Garcia, Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Network. Go to YouTube, find Locked On Spurs, man. You can definitely catch all of Jeff's stuff there. Also on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. He does fantastic work when it comes to covering your silver and black, the San Antonio Spurs. Again, this is Sweep the League. Coach Gio, Rudy Campos Jr., part of the Alamo City Podcast Network. Just go to YouTube, search Alamo City Podcast Network, hit that subscribe button, like, and share. Follow us every single day. We're here Monday through Friday for you guys. We just got done talking about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Man, if you could pick any celebrities to fight, who would you pick? I mean, would you go like down the Statham, Jay Statham and somebody, type? I mean, back in the day, would you have seen this, like to see a Chuck Norris and whoever type of fight? I mean, it's kind of crazy. You could probably match up any of these guys, and it would probably be a pretty awesome fight. Yeah,
we got Chuck Norris against Jackie Chan, right?
Well, I mean, Chuck did film a scene with Bruce Lee. I mean, it wasn't an actual fight, but I wonder how a real fight.
Well, I mean, Chuck is he's actual fight martial arts, right? Like I'm pretty sure he's trained. I mean, I'm trying to think of some guys back in the day. I mean, Bruce Willis versus Chuck Norris? I don't know. And I'm saying like quote unquote movie bad guys versus actual like real life counterparts. But, with the NFL, Rudy, the Falcons might have their new man, their new quarterback, the new franchise quarterback to get the Falcons back to the Super Bowl and to rewrite history. Instead of losing and being up 28-3 this time, you're down 23. You come back to win, Rudy. Just imagine, Rudy, a Super Bowl where Kirk Cousins is down by that much and comes back to win. That would probably be the sweetest,
honestly, man, any Super Bowl win would be the sweetest thing in my life right now when it comes to sports.
I still think the Falcons can win in your lifetime.
I almost threw up in my mouth here saying that, man. Hell no.
Rudy, if you live another 70 years,
I don't think that would put me at the ripe age of 114 at 70 years, Gio. I'm hoping to live past I'm hoping to live past 50. You're talking about another 70 years. I mean, geez, man, I might only have another 6 years on this planet. Now 5 because I turned 45 this year. I mean,
you're old, Rudy.
I am very, very old, but I do not think the Falcons. Okay, so you get Kirk Cousins. They have an okay defense. They have some young weapons in Bijan and London Pitts, who they are so underutilizing Kyle Pitts. It's not even funny.
Hey, just send him to the Rams. We'll find something for him to do. Rudy, you guys have as. You know what's funny? I was watching a game last year for the Falcons just a little bit because I had a Sunday ticket, which cost a fortune.
On YouTube? It was YouTube TV, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually good. I didn't have any issues like I had with DirecTV. So anyway, there's a game where they're featuring Jonnu Smith. And look, Jonnu Smith is a good player. He's been in this league for a while, but it just dawns on you that, man, Kyle's just – I remember him coming out, Rudy. I thought he was – I remember correctly, one of the best players, if not the best player, to come out of the draft. And unfortunately, in Atlanta, it's just been they've had a lot of different quarterbacks, and he just hasn't been able to settle down. I'm not sure what his stats look like, but it probably was nothing special.
No, it hasn't been anything special with Kyle Pitts. I mean, the quarterback situation has been it's been bad. I mean, it's been bad. They need a lot more help on both ends of the ball. Kirk Cousins is going to help.
I mean, his rookie year was weird. He had 1,000 yards, but he only had one receiving touchdown. And then he goes from 1,000 yards. Now, he was hurt the second year, though, from 1,000 to 300 yards. And then this past year, he had 600 yards. So I guess he's on pace with your normal tight end. But we thought he could have been, I'm not saying Travis Kelce, right, or Gronk, or even maybe Laporte. I mean, I always saw lines of him potentially being Laporte, which was his first year. So hopefully, Rudy, if Kirk Cousins is there, though, Rudy, you got to admit, Kyle Pitts is probably going to have a huge
He's going to have a bounce back year. Now, I can't say huge year, but I will say that I think he'll have a way better year than he's been having. He'll have a more consistent year, but it depends on who else you put around Kyle Pitts with Kirk Cousins. I mean, you have Drake London, you have Bijan Robinson, Algier should still be there. I mean, you've got some players, but then it comes back to who do you put on the other side of the ball? I mean, thank you for what's his name? I was going to say Tutu Atwell, but it's not Tutu Atwell. What's his name from the Rams? They got traded there. Man, my mind went blank again. My mind's been terrible today. I'm actually getting old age.
Oh.
They traded from the Rams. Got him from the Rams. They're a deep threat. Van Jefferson, Sean Jefferson's son. I mean, again, you have Van Jefferson, but again, nothing that's going to move the needle for Atlanta.
Rudy, Van Jefferson, I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
You were high on him. Don't lie to me.
I was high on him. He was a good route runner. And look, with the Rams, Rudy, for those first few years, he played very well. He had a year where he had, I believe, over 800 yards receiving and probably 5 or 6 touchdowns. But his last year with the Rams, Rudy, was absolutely terrible. And I won't be surprised if he's out of the league in a few years, just because for whatever reason, and as someone who's on Rams Twitter a lot every day, now that people love Van Jefferson, I was grateful for what he did. He's a good number 3, Rudy. He's a good 4 or 3, but you got to have other really good receivers around him. And he had Cooper Kupp. He had OBJ was there. Obviously, Robert Woods. But Rudy, he was just bad. And he's probably going to get cut. He's probably going to get cut from your team. So for the Falcons, Rudy, I mean, it's interesting. I've looked at some mocks. People are saying you're going to draft Drake May, though. Obviously, if you get Kirk Cousins,
you don't need him.
It's probably not the case. I think they may go receiver there. Depending on, I don't think Marvin Harris is going to drop to them. But Rudy, if they get Kirk Cousins, okay. But if they get Kirk Cousins and they have a chance to draft Marvin Harrison, I'm sure you would be pretty pleased about that.
Oh, 100%. Who wouldn't be pleased at Marvin Harrison if you're an Atlanta Falcon fan? I mean, if you're going to go wide receiver, I think you're probably going to go golly, man. I'm trying to look at the list here off the top of my head.
Probably Malik Neighbors, right? I mean,
Malik Neighbors probably won't be there, knowing that the Giants, are still picking before the Falcons. I mean, that's kind of the key, I believe.
But don't the Falcons pick? Aren't they 3rd?
Let me get the mock draft out of here. I got the mock draft. The Falcons do not pick 3rd, dude. That's the Patriots. Who are we talking about? Are you off your medicine?
I must have. I swear I thought the Falcons picked 3rd, but you're right. They already had a. No, yeah.
No, the Falcons don't pick 3rd, man. The Atlanta Falcons, they pick 8th. Giants are picking 6th. So right now, as it stands, you have the Bears, the Commanders, Patriots, Cardinals, Chargers, Giants, Titans. Those are the first 7. Then the Falcons. So, I mean, Malik Neighbors is probably going to be, if he's not going to Arizona, he's probably going to the Giants. He could possibly go to the Chargers because, they're trying to, as of right now, they're trying to move from Keenan Allen. They may even move on from Mike Williams, so they're going to have to get somebody to throw the ball to. Quentin Johnston's just not the guy. Tennessee, I mean, you're probably going to have to get somebody for Will Levis in Tennessee. So it's going to be interesting. I think the Falcons go defense, man. I mean, you could have Latu there when Atlanta picks. They could use another cornerback. I mean, Quentin Mitchell. I mean, I'm high on Quentin Mitchell. I would not be sad if they took Quentin Mitchell. But outside of that, I mean, it's tough for them to see them going anywhere. One thing I know for sure, I think Kirk Cousins is going to be a Falcon. I think it's kind of safe to say that smoke is turning into fire. We're going to see Kirk Cousins more than likely as a Falcon. Then you see the stuff with today with Russell Wilson. Has tremendous ties to the Steelers, man. That makes Pittsburgh pretty good really quick. You can't say no.
It's just, to me, a franchise who just you can't seem to get it right after Ben Roethlisberger. A lot of these quarterbacks coming in and out, they've had Trubisky, Kenny Pickett. Really, I guess that's a failed experiment. Would you agree? They don't look like they're going to continue with Pickett. Obviously, if Russell Wilson goes there and gets hurt,
he's going to stay. Kenny Pickett will be there. I think they're going to groom him.
Yeah, potentially groom him. But really, we saw what Russell did. And look, if you go look at his stats, Russell actually had a really good year with the Broncos. But I felt like every time I watched the Broncos, I felt like Russell was just checking it down every freaking pass play. Not a lot of passes down the field, as Sean Payton likes to do on his offenses, but a lot of dink and dunks. I guess it'll be an interesting fit. I'm trying to like it, Rudy. I just feel like, man, Russell has really
Why are you going to allow those 2 years in Denver to dictate on how he would do in a different system, in a more organized system with Tomlin? I think that fits him a lot better.
Russ needs to he needs to be able to run around. He needs to be able to run around. He needs to be able to make plays. Like we've seen him in his structuredized offense with Sean, and even obviously the year before. It just doesn't seem to be working. His best time was in Seattle, where they were able to move him around, Rudy. He's running around. He made some great plays. Just a few years ago, Rudy, he was voted as one of the top 10 best players in the league.
Yeah.
From that to this, talk about a drop-off. His team's not being successful, him turning the ball over at a high rate. At this point, sure, Pittsburgh, I think, sounds good. They can run the football. Their offensive line has improved. Their defense definitely is there, but I don't know. Tomlin's a tough coach, but he's also a player's coach, so it could work well. But I got to see, Rudy, from the offense, what they're going to do with Russ, because Russ cannot. We saw in the last few years, man. It was just, and his first year in Denver was it was an absolute disaster.
I know it was. It was a horrible thing for Russell Wilson. But
so, question for you, Rudy: is it the worst trade ever?
Yeah, it's hard to say because you can't forget about the great trade robbery with Jimmy and Dallas and Minnesota. I mean, you know what? Can we say that that's kind of a push? You're giving up an MVP caliber player, Herschel Walker back then, Russell Wilson at this time, and it just seems like the other team got. But now Jimmy's part, they got Super Bowl better. We haven't seen Seattle get Super Bowl better, so I'm going to say no. It was not the worst trade. I think it's going to be number 2. Because it hasn't really led to anything in Seattle. If it would have led to Super Bowls in Seattle, you know what? Okay, I'm sorry. Let's say it's 1B because Jimmy had to draft these guys. They had to develop, and it took a couple of drafts. Seattle ended up getting Devon Witherspoon from this trade. They've got pieces. What was the offensive lineman? They got Cross, I believe, was from this trade. So another year with this. Then if Seattle starts getting Super Bowl contenders again, then I would say this is probably the worst trade.
So the Herschel Walker trade, Rudy, there were a lot of picks in that trade.
Tons.
I mean, I think there was, two first, several. It was a ton of picks for Herschel, for a guy who was towards the end of his ropes. He was being essentially, I don't want to say the word abused, but they gave him the ball so much.
He was a workhorse.
He was a workhorse. The team was really bad, and that wasn't a good trade. But I think on impact already, what the Broncos expected back, we can agree is definitely possibly close to being the worst, just because they were thinking playoffs, Rudy, Super Bowls, and Denver getting this trade, and it just never happened. I'm trying to think of some other trades as well. How about the Hopkins trade, where he gets sent over to the Cardinals, and that was a bad. To me, that was a bad trade. Who was the coach again?
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien, who had I guess he didn't like him. How about this one, Rudy? Throwback. Jeff George to the Falcons.
Asshole. Why do you gotta involve my team every time?
Dude, man? Jeff George, dude, if anyone's listening, because I know people are, go look at Jeff
Drafted.
George's record in the
Drafted by the
NFL.
Colts, and he was supposed to be a savior, and then he gets traded to the Atlanta Falcons. That's terrible, man. That was a bad move. That was definitely a bad move.
And also, how about Deshaun Watson really to the Browns? I mean, look, we talk about, well, let's wait this out to see what happens. But really, the Browns were up against themselves. They gave this man, I mean, after the trade, obviously, a fully guaranteed contract, which is insane. He wasn't even done with his last contract. They trade for him, and it's a little bit different because it wasn't a ton of picks, I believe, but the Browns right now, Rudy, we can agree. I don't know if they do that trade again, if they go back, because Deshaun, he had some weird stuff happen to him last year. He was not playing certain games and playing the other games, and there was some friction. Then he's out for the year. Then Joe Flacco is comeback player of the year, even though he played barely any games, but whatever. Yeah, that's another interesting trade.
I mean, look at your Rams trade. Jeff Fisher with that move that he made, losing all those first round picks for, was it Sam Bradford? Was it the Sam Bradford deal?
It was.
I mean, I think that's got to go down as one.
Wait,
of the
no, I
worst
think what was that? Not the Goff? I think it was the Goff trade
where he lost all those first and all those draft picks. The Rams didn't have a first round pick for what? 4 years, 5 years?
Well, to be fair, they also traded for Ramsey, which was a first round pick. They also traded for Von Miller, which we gave up a lot for Von Miller.
Which they ended up winning a Super Bowl.
They did win a Super Bowl. So for all you people, all you haters, including Rudy, to say that the Rams, listen, we won a Super Bowl. That's all that Rudy would give up all those trades for those Falcons to win a Super Bowl as well if he had the opportunity. So, and the Rams were back. And Rudy, this offseason, very, very interesting. There were a lot of cuts the last few days of guys, notable guys. I guess the Bills have no money, but I'm hoping the Rams can grab some of those Bills players. But no, it's going to be a fun offseason. It could be one of the, I know funner isn't a word, but like a very most fun offseason we've had in a while.
It's going to be a very entertaining offseason because a lot of these players that are getting cut are impact players, Gio. I mean, was it Simmons cut today by the Broncos?
Yeah.
Safety. I mean, you're talking about a massive impact player. And can you imagine if he decides, you know what, I'm going to Houston to play for D'Amico Ryans. Saquon Barkley tied to Houston as well. Houston has all this cap space, and they have nothing but young talent. It's like they're having to pay some of these older guys. So that's going to be a very interesting move with the Houston Texans. I mean, the Commanders, I believe, have money. One team in particular that I talked about yesterday was the Patriots. They've got some money too. And I made a very interesting.
And they have they actually have good defensive players. I think Christian Gonzalez, a corner, was out for the year. They actually have a pretty good defensive, I don't want to say staff, but players there that a few of them got hurt. They'll be back next year and on top of what they're going to do this offseason. Because Rudy, listen, Bill Belichick it's just, man, when he's signing players, it's like, this just never seemed to work out. Especially on the offensive side of the football. Defense is a little bit different, but offense, they just can never click. And I know they made that one playoff run and then got literally smacked against the Bills, but I'm interested to see this new era of Patriots to see where it leads. But man, it's going to be a fun offseason. I can't wait. I think next week is when it really gets rolling.
Yeah, because next Wednesday, I believe, is when you can technically sign players. They can't sign their contract, but you can kind of agree to terms with players. I believe it's next Wednesday. Gio, I made the comment yesterday, actually, when I said that if I'm New England, I'm not even looking at a quarterback at 3. I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm taking a playmaker at 3 because I know coming at round 2 with the 34th pick, I'm going to potentially have a Bo Nix, a Michael Penix, a Spencer Rattler. where I can go get one of those guys.
Bo Nix.
I'm just saying, Bo. As it is, Denver is looking at Bo Nix right now in the first.
I like Michael Penix. I think he's a guy who can get the ball out. I know he has a injury history. I know I crap on Bo Nix a lot, but listen, we talk about opportunities, right fit, right time, right place. Any of these quarterbacks, and really, I feel like quarterbacks coming in nowadays seem to be more prepared. Mm-hmm. I think we can agree, at least the last several years, we've had some good quarterbacks and obviously some bad ones as well. But
I mean, you're talking potentially. I think they should go majority offense for New England. I mean, you go with Marvin Harrison at 3. You come right around the second round. You go and get, a Bo Nix, like I said, somebody who's established. You can go get a Spencer Rattler. Go get somebody like that. Obviously, you're going to probably end up moving on from Mac Jones. But my other part, Gio, was there's so much out there right now as far as veterans because Justin Fields doesn't have a home if they decide to trade him. I mean, I picked Justin maybe going to Minnesota now if he doesn't go to Atlanta. I think Minnesota is a perfect fit for Justin Fields. Do you trade him within the division? It's hard to.
I don't.
But
I mean, once upon a time, didn't the
Brett Favre?
Didn't the Eagles trade McNabb within the division, or was he signed? I don't remember. But anyway, but yeah, I'm not the most keen on trading someone within your division. You play twice a year, and though it does play for good NFL storylines, I don't know. It's interesting because you got Pittsburgh kind of flirting with Russell Wilson. If Kirk goes to Atlanta, I guess Minnesota could be a viable option there. Though I don't know that their offense really is a really vertical game. I guess you could cater the offense to Justin, of course, but I don't know if that Minnesota offense, who the coach came over from the Rams, I just don't. I don't know if that fits. I just don't see a fit. Unless we're wrong and Justin comes out and throws for 35 touchdowns already and he balls out next season. But you got to build around Justin and what he does well, his strengths, right? Listen, I like to always go back to the Washington Commanders, used to be called the R word. I'm not going to say it on here, but they go out there and draft Robert Griffin III, right? Mm-hmm. Their offense was not catered to what Griffin ran. So you know what they did, Rudy? They went down to Baylor, right? When Arbrows was there, former head coach. He had a lot of issues after that. But they go down there, and what do they run, Rudy? They start running the pistol. Yeah. They start flat out pistol sets, a lot of different things that he ran in college. And look, they carried an offense, of course, still have West Coast principles, and look, so you got to have a coach who's willing to buy in, Rudy. If you don't have a coach that buys in, you're just dead in the water. It's just until someone believes you. I mean, look at Colin Kaepernick, Rudy. Harbaugh, what a perfect fit, right? He lets Alex Smith go, and Colin's the guy, right? And for several years, 3 straight NFC championship game for the 49ers with Colin Kaepernick. So you got to carry that offense, what that player does well. And Rudy, we're only naming just a few teams, Rudy. Pittsburgh. Yeah. Chicago, Minnesota. Who else? Maybe the Raiders? I don't know.
The Raiders are in play. I think the Raiders are in play.
They're in play. We haven't heard too much from the camp, and that's why it's always good to see when the offseason obviously draft as well to see where they go. But we're only mentioning just less than 5 teams who maybe could be interested, and who else ever comes in, of course.
Well, you got one thing to keep in mind is that New England has $78 million in cap space as of right now. As of right now. That's a lot of money to play with. So you go get a Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft. You start building through the draft. Get you a couple of linemen. Get you a couple of receivers. Grab a quarterback in the second, maybe third round. And then go get a couple of offensive linemen. Just do a lot of offensive retooling. Because the Patriots defense was number 3? I mean, they were one of the top defenses last year. You don't have to do very much on the defensive side for New England.
How about this? They go get Saquon. They get Marvin Harrison Jr. And then what happens if they go out there and get a a Kirk Cousins, or they perceive the draft route, but they go more of a veteran quarterback. Now you have a really a team that who can potentially compete. Because we can agree, really, that defense is right. I think the defense is going to be fine. I think they're ready to go. Just the offense, just changing things up and how they do things. But Saquon, Rudy, I can't wait to see where he lands, because I think highly of him, and I think he still have a lot of juice left. I know he's been hurt every so often throughout his time with the Giants, but man, Saquon behind a good offensive line, not necessarily one player, because obviously they got Thomas at left tackle, but a collective group of good offensive linemen with Saquon. Jeez.
Yeah, and you're reading my mind. I'm thinking along the terms of going to get some of these offensive guys. I don't think they get a Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon's kind of tied into teams like Houston, younger teams like that. And he's also going to look at the offensive line. He hasn't had a very good offensive line in New York, so he's looking at the offensive lines for a lot of these teams. But why wouldn't you kick the tires on a Russell Wilson in New England? I mean, a veteran guy that can come in. You're not asking for much because you're technically in a rebuild. You're just asking him to come in for a couple of years, just make some plays. We're giving you Marvin Harrison Jr. We're going to go out and get another, receiver for you, because that whole receiving core in New England is trash, Gio. It's trash. They've got to you can go get the best quarterback in the draft. You can go get the best quarterback on the market. Who the hell? They're not Patrick Mahomes. They're not Tom Brady. Who the hell are you going to throw to? You got to get weapons. And that's where I think they need to go get weapons. Grab a Russell Wilson. Denver's paying majority of his salary, if not all of it. So he's not going to command a whole lot of money. How does that fit for New England?
Yeah, I think it's all going to incline on what offense are they running. Traditionally Rudy was very dink and dunk. Obviously, they always, and for fantasy football purposes, Rudy, what we always say, don't draft their running back, because it's always one guy 1 week, the next week. Obviously, they have Stevenson in the backfield. Russell Wilson does. I could see that working, Rudy, for kind of a veteran guy. You're not going to have to pay him too much either, Rudy. He's going to be fairly cheap. So could he be that bridge guy if they draft a Michael Penix, or they go with one of these younger quarterbacks in the draft? I could also see Russell Wilson going there to kind of set the stage and to maybe fast track their rebuilding process. Because
I think so. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I think it does make sense. Wherever Russell ends up, I do hope he could play again. Obviously, Pittsburgh, and I know I said I'm not the biggest fan to see him there, particularly because I think after Ben Roethlisberger, Rudy, the quarterback situation there in Pittsburgh has just been up, it's been down, up and down. Granted, Mike Tomlin did make the playoffs, which is got to give him a lot of credit, but it's Tom
Izzo.
Yeah, I was saying we're gonna see some stuff, Rudy. We're talking about these teams, but for all we know, there's another team that we're not even thinking of. Maybe the Saints. Maybe they, I don't know, cut Carr. I don't know, trade them, whatever the case may be. There's another team out there that we're not thinking about that might come into the fold because of a big, massive trade. We'll find out soon enough.
We will find out definitely soon enough. And we'll see, man. Like I said, the signing period starts, I believe, next Wednesday. So we'll see where some of these guys go. Trades are definitely going to happen before the draft day, and then on a draft night as well. You're going to see a bunch of trades. And as Gio, it's really accomplishing here. One last commercial break before we get out of here. When we come back, Ben Simmons, Gio, they need to just cut this guy out. We're going to get into some Ben Simmons talk when we get back.
He's hurt, Rudy.
Who gives a shit? We're going to get into it when we get back.
MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business. Honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
Thank you, Chris Leha, MCS General Contracting, be a sponsor for Alum City Podcast Network. All right, man. Before we get out of here, we've got to get into this because this is horrible, dude. This is terrible. New Jersey Nets, everybody who has reported and it has come out. Ben Simmons will remain out for the remainder of the season while he consults a specialist and explores treatment options for the nerve impingement. I can't say that word in his lower back. Impingement. So basically, another year of no Ben Simmons. Gio, when is the league going to step in and say, you know what? You've stolen enough money from enough teams already. You need to get the hell out of here and just don't come back. You need to be medically retired. This guy is injured every single year. This is like Greg Oden being on a fucking NBA roster year after year, knowing he's never going to play.
Well, to be fair, Greg was truly hurt.
He was truly hurt.
Ben Simmons has had every injury in the books, it seems like, Rudy, and I never know what to think. Like, okay,
some of it sounds fake. He's got
some of it sounds fake. He had the mental health stuff, and listen, we never want to.
No, the mental health part. Yeah, don't want to joke about mental health, but it's the other injuries. Like he has a bruised bone in his fingernail, and he's out for the year. Well, I mean, really, it's one of the worst, probably one of the worst contracts in NBA history. But really, there's actually a lot of really bad. Chandler Parsons, Rudy, that man. Yes.
If you know that story.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty crazy. We won't get too much into that, but Chandler Parsons was a terrible contract. Listen, as great of a player that I think Sean Kemp was, when he gets shipped to Cleveland, 6-7 years for $107 million at the time. At that time, that's actually a lot of money, and Sean unfortunately just never was able to live up to that from some things off the court. But look, Rudy. I think it's time. This whole bet, this is it. I mean, the guy is stealing money. I mean, wasn't his last year in Philadelphia? What was he doing? He wasn't doing anything, right? Like, it comes down to when is enough enough. But this is a players' league, Rudy. This is a driven league. This isn't the NFL. Where the NFL has no guaranteed contracts, right? There's a few of these guys, but for the most part, the NFL, if that was in the NFL, Rudy, that man would have been released his second year. Yeah. No doubt into that contract. But there's so many guys in the NBA that either have been hurt or doesn't work out. You know, Grant Hill's contract. People forget Penny Hardaway's contract with the Phoenix Suns. That didn't turn out very well. Eddie Curry's 6-year, whatever $1 million contract.
Eddie Curry made it the league. Nice.
I mean, Rudy, do you remember Luol Deng's contract?
Yeah. Oh my God, the one he got shipped to LA.
Dude,
Lakers. That was terrible. There's been terrible contracts, but the one thing you failed to realize, Gio, in all this, is those guys just rode the pine. They may not have gotten playing time, but they were at least suited up, ready to play, and called upon if need be. Ben Simmons is never in a uniform. This guy is on the bench in his best fucking Gap clothes. I mean, he is stealing money from the Nets.
And he's also – I've banned him from putting him on any of my parlays. The man can't get 10 points to save his life, which is it's mind-boggling to me, a guy of that talent, Rudy. And look, I know that before, and you know when it all started, Rudy? It's crazy to me. After that playoff series with the Sixers, remember where he was missing all those free throws? That's when it all started. Mm-hmm. Exactly when that game ended, and he was missing those free throws, and he didn't even take open shots, Rudy. I mean,
he passed up an open layup for them to lose the damn series.
Dude, listen, I've played street ball before. You shoot that shot, man. You just shoot it. And, man, it's disappointing. There's so many stuff comes out. He's hurt. He's not hurt. I don't know, whatever the case may be. But for Ben Simmons, I hope he can get back on the court. But really, his contract is just been. But you're right, a lot of those other guys kind of signed deals maybe towards the end of their career. Or maybe there was a guy who was a one-hit, maybe like a 2-year wonder, right, Rudy? He gets a contract. Another guy, Bismack Biyombo, was another one who signed a contract. Yamahimi was another one too, Rudy. Didn't he have a decent big size contract? And it just that was when the NBA was they're just giving out free money to guys. Oh, hey, we have money, we have to use it. We're gonna sign you to a big deal.
Chandler Parsons' deal is similar to this Ben Simmons one because it's massive money, and Parsons never took the floor.
He had two big contracts too, which is crazy. Also, I remember Bryant Reeves as well, big country. I think he was hurt though.
Bryant Reeves was legit hurt, but he was a legit bust too. I mean, he wasn't.
Rudy, he had a few good years. Shaq always said that.
Well, okay,
he was a tough. He was a tough. Yeah, I would say he was a tough guard. He was a big dude, but he had that terrible back injury that basically ended his career. But big country for those few years, Shaq always said, man, that was a tough guy to guard because country could shoot, he could post up, and he could defend.
Yeah, that was my poor choice of words calling him a bust. I didn't mean bust. I just think he's one of those what if type of guys. I think he just kind of, like you said, the back injuries and then the weight problem too was another issue.
Well, we need a show, Rudy, on just the worst contracts in sports, period.
We can do that. That's easy.
Just go look at the NBA. You got at least 15.
Majority. I would say majority are NBA contracts, but I mean, because MLB. I mean, the biggest one for a while was what A-Rod's 250 million. I think it was 10 years, $250 million.
Yeah, but I mean, A-Rod was
MVP.
That's what I'm saying. Like he was still, prime. Like it's worse. It's a bad contract because there's so much money. But baseball is a little different. In some cases, you really have to really look at the player itself to see if obviously the number that he signed makes a whole lot of sense. Because now Alex Rodriguez's contract is nothing, right? Like a lot of these guys are getting paid more than what Alex was getting paid. But at the time, and plus, didn't Alex never made the playoffs, right? With the Rangers, Rudy?
I don't think so.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's one of the bigger contracts. Timothy used to play for the Lakers, got 60. Timothy Mozgov, another one, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mozgov's contract, that was massive.
Well, Rudy, Allen Houston, I think he had 5 or 6 years for $100 million. He was already a lot of injuries, and it sucks. Grant Hill, right? He was such a talented player. He was not necessarily the next Jordan, but he was a really great all-around player. Kind of like Kawhi before Kawhi. He could play defense, he could shoot, he could do it all. But so many terrible NBA contracts.
Yeah, and I just thought about another one. I can't remember offhand again to save my life, but there was a lot of bad contracts, man. The Mozgov one was a bad one. I mean,
well, how about the Scottie Pippen, Rudy?
Yeah.
Bad for Scottie Pippen, not necessarily for the team, but they told Scottie, "Hey, don't sign this, man. This ain't a good idea."
And now he's off telling everybody how much Jordan sucks and all this.
Rudy, he was what, top 5, or you could say top 10 best player in the league.
Top 10.
And getting paid one of the lowest contracts for his time. And I think he also got upset at Michael for not lobbying. What's Michael going to do? Tell ownership to give you more money? You sign a contract, and ownership feels like, hey, we got the leverage here. We're playing a top 10 best player in the league, barely no money, and they really didn't use it. Jordan wasn't getting paid $30 million until his last few years in the league.
Yeah, because he was signing for like 25 a year, I think.
Yeah,
is what he was doing, but. In the scheme of things, too, go down the rabbit hole. You sign Scottie that deal, and he accepts it. That's kind of a deal where if it doesn't work out between Mike and Scottie, you can move that contract easily and get great value in return.
Rudy, you could have traded. Think about the players they could have got back.
Yeah.
For a package deal for Scottie Pippen. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head what teams would have potentially traded. I mean, look, it's hard to say because at the time, Rudy, the big man was so valuable. So to trade Scotty for a big man was probably not going to happen, right? Like you're not trading Scotty for David Robinson, but a Mitch Mitchman maybe. I don't know. Maybe a top tier point guard for Scottie Pippen at that time. It's just to see, I don't know, the Jazz or the Sonics. I don't think the Sonics would trade. Actually, I could see.
There you go. I was hoping you'd get
see
there.
The Sonics trading Gary Payton.
I was hoping you'd get there because it would have been you could have easily traded a Scottie Pippen probably for a Gary Payton and a Detlef Schrempf, and that would have made it work. I'm pretty sure. Possibly even gotten a first round pick. I think. I mean, with that contract, you could have done some massive trades with that.
Yeah, really. I mean, you could have. I'm trying to think of how many teams at the time, but. I mean, now the thing about that era, though, Rudy, those players are prideful. They probably don't want to leave their current team to go play with Mike. It was just a different time, but imagine Gary Payton and Michael Jordan on the same freaking. You got two of the, especially Gary, one of the biggest trash talkers in NBA history, alongside the fact that he's also a former Defensive Player of the Year, which at the time, Rudy, a point guard winning that was very rare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. It was baby gap clothes. Yeah, I mentioned the baby gap clothes. Ben Simmons wearing baby gap clothes. That's all he's doing on the sidelines, man. We'll do a show with contracts and all, but needless to say, tomorrow's Friday. Derek Gervin should be back tomorrow, Gio. So we're gonna obviously open up the vault with Derek, go into Flashback Friday. Everybody tends to tune into those shows with Derek because they like to talk old NBA hoops. So we'll ask Derek his opinion on whose contract was terrible. And I wonder what he would say. More than likely, Derek's going to say his because he was, worth $160 million, but he only got paid X number of dollars. So I would say that too. But nonetheless, man, this is Sweep the League. All part of the Alamo City Podcast Network. Just go to YouTube, search Alamo City Podcast Network, hit that subscribe button, like and share. You can always check Joe and Mike on the Alamo City Sportscast every morning, 10:15 to 11:30. Brandon Medina, he just released the Generation Duo episode a little while ago, actually earlier today. Catch it every single Wednesday or Thursday when it gets released. That's Brandon Medina with the Generation Duo. This is Coach Gio, Rudy Copple Jr. Derek will be back tomorrow. Till then, we're going to end the stream right now. Everybody, you know what? Be safe out there in San Antonio. It's supposed to be raining pretty bad tonight, so wish everybody some good luck tonight. Be safe if you're going out. Enjoy your time out. But again, be safe. It's supposed to be raining kind of bad. I'm going to stay home, Gio. I'm not going out at all anywhere. I don't want to be caught in the rain. But, Gio, you have pretty weather every day, all day. So
no, wait. I'm in the Midwest, Rudy. There's
oh, man. So
didn't you live in the Midwest for a bit?
I did. I lived in Ohio for 2 years, north of Cincinnati, south of Dayton, a little place called Middletown, Ohio. Okay,
Real quick, why did you move to Ohio, Rudy?
So the last company I worked for, let me stop sharing the screen here. So the last company I worked for, their main office, their headquarters was in Dayton, Ohio, and they started up a new division, I guess is what it was, and they wanted me to go up there and help with the division. Basically, I was running San Antonio from Ohio. I was running a little bit up there. Me and another guy were up there doing work for them. And we transferred up there, went to Ohio, loved every single minute of it. Wish we would have never left, but, shit happens. People wanted to come home, and rest is rest. But I will admit, I really wish that maybe we could transfer back up there one day. I love Ohio. I would love to go back.
I've been to the Mariners game in Cincinnati. I've been there before. It's actually, that area is really nice. I like kind of the vibe. You obviously have Cleveland, which is a little bit further out towards the lake. But yeah, Ohio, when you talk to a lot of Midwesterners, Ohio's always at the top of the list, Rudy. It's some of the best places to live in the Midwest.
Yeah, Ohio, and it's weird because Ohio doesn't get a whole lot of love, man. But
no,
I had a blast up there, being literally like 4 or 5 hours away from other states and literally 45 minutes from Indiana. I mean, we drove through Indiana a couple of times. The chances of going to Chicago was like 5 hours. New York, I think, was 5 hours. So just being up there was awesome. I loved it. I just didn't like that. That was the very first time, knock on wood, because I live in the country now, but knock on wood, that was the first time I ever had an actual tornado warning up there. So,
well, also you have snow, right? So the cold weather is, it definitely takes a little bit time getting used to the temperatures. But honestly, though, Ohio, I've been there a few times, and Cincinnati is a pretty good city. So
yeah.
Yep.
I know it is. And, real quick before we go, just a quick backstory, man. That same night, there was a big lightning storm. And I'm going to see if I can bring this up because this is kind of crazy. In Ohio, when you're going into Middletown, I can't remember the name of the town, but there's a church right off the highway. They have a big lake. And they had, when me and my wife drove in, we oh man, let me pull it up here. We drove by it and we couldn't believe it, Gio. We were like, what in the hell is this? Well, check this out, man. Dayline, Ohio. This is what we drove into when we went into Ohio, dude. This is crazy. We saw this and we both were like, what in the absolute F is that? Touchdown Jesus was coming out of the water, Gio.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool. So we drive in, and you know what? Hey, man, real quick, appreciate it. Joe Garcia, $10 super chat. Joe, we appreciate you, man.
Joe,
Joe's
big baller, man.
Big baller, man. What's up? Everything's good, man. Everything is good. We're talking real quick before we get off the stream about Touchdown Jesus in Ohio. Appreciate the love, Joe. $10 from Joe Garcia.
I've actually heard about that. I haven't been there yet, but.
So we drive in and we see this. Now, keep in mind, this is when Subway sandwiches had just started doing the $5 footlong. So I called it $5 footlong Jesus. Hold on 1 second, man. We drive in, was like, okay, cool. Gio, we were there for maybe a year. And I'm going to kill the sharing because now I got to show you what happened. That night that the tornado warning came up, it was like, oh crap, what's going on? We were both kind of freaking out. This is what we saw the next day on all of the newscasts. And don't you laugh because it's terrible, man. It is terrible. Don't you laugh. But breaking news the very next morning because of the lightning storm, Touchdown Jesus went up in flames. It got struck by lightning that very same night. I look at your eyes because that's exactly what happened, man. Struck by lightning. No more Touchdown Jesus, Gio. I was kind of sad.
So did they bring it back, Rudy, or they never?
So I'm stopping the show. We're going to get into this. Is kind of where we're getting into all this. Thank you, Joe. We're keeping up the great work as much as we can here. So they did bring it back, Gio, but they changed it up. They didn't make it Touchdown Jesus anymore. What they made was, oh my God, I can't believe they did this. You would think it gets struck by lightning. You don't want to do the same thing. You don't want to make the same mistake twice. Bullshit. Because they did. They made it even worse. Welcome to Walk on Water Jesus. You went from Touchdown Jesus to Walk on Water Jesus, even higher than the last statue, man. What poses anybody to
Really, doesn't
this?
that look like the thing in Brazil?
The Rio de Janeiro thing? Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm getting that vibe. I actually prefer the Touchdown Jesus, honestly. I thought that was a cool.
I like the Touchdown Jesus.
Yeah, it's like it's a little different. This one looks more of a traditional, I guess, figure. That's very.
Why are you going to make it even taller?
That is true.
I mean, you're talking about another tall statue. Like, oh my God. Anyway, dude, that's my Ohio story. If you have any more questions about Ohio, please ask me. Gio lives in the Midwest. We've kind of both lived in the Midwest a little bit there, but good times, man. We're going to have to get off the stream already. It's Coach Gio. It's Rudy Campos Jr. It is Sweep the League. Again, I'm part of the Alamo City Podcast Network. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Hopefully, Derek Irvin will be back tomorrow. So, again, for Coach Gio, Rudy Campos Jr., until we sweep the league again next time, catch you later, Knuckleheads.